It's Bruce on the loose.
What's up?
Bruce on the loose. Yeah, it's Bruce on the loose.
You wanna lose?
It's Bruce on the loose.
Welcome back, everybody, to Bruce on the Loose. This is Dino, and I'm here with the lovely Brittany.
Hi.
This is season 2 of Bruce on the Loose. Got a lot of surprises and a lot of changes coming up for you as well. So, in the world of Bruce, what's been going on?
Well, he has a Neca 40th anniversary figure out.
Oh, God, that Neca Evil Dead figure is a little bit weird because I always consider the Evil Dead anniversary to be 1983 because that's when it came out on video. That's when I saw it for the first time at like 11 years old. Blew my mind, which started my obsession. But it looks exactly like Bruce. I mean, they really got the sculpt down. That's hard to do.
It really does. Looks good.
So many companies have tried to do it, but I think Neca finally hit it on this Evil Dead 40th anniversary. I hope they have more figures in the line. I don't think they're going to, but they need to do some Deadites. I don't understand. They have the Evil Dead license. Maybe they just have the Bruce Campbell license?
Maybe. I love the young Bruce sculpt. It's different from all the others we've seen.
Absolutely. No scars on his face except for the one on his chin that he's had for most of his life.
Good for customs.
Right? It's not bloody. Right, exactly. It's a clean Bruce, just as when he arrived at the cabin for the very first time and started us all on this frickin' journey. That's Neca. It's a Target exclusive, so check your Target website and go to your Target stores locally and see if you can snag that. It should still be on shelves. I mean, I know it's hard with the distribution and things like that, but give it a shot.
Speaking of figures, how about the eBay stores?
I have an eBay store, Action Scale Heroes. Of course, the initials of that are ASH. I'm an action figure collector. It's cool if you get a figure and hang it on a wall in its package and never touch it, but I don't understand that. A toy is made to be played with. Didn't you ever see the Rudolph special? Half these things are going to end up on Misfit Toys because nobody ever played with them. But anyway, I have a store. Basically, I buy action figures. I pick what I want and I sell off the extras. I'll sell the guns, the swords, sometimes heads, bodies, whatever. Maybe I buy something just because I want its accessories, sell the other piece off, and then, that recoups, some of my loss. I suggest you all go check it out. And if you're into it, it's the same kind of deal with a very great eBayer. His name is L Sphinx. Like the riddle of the Sphinx?
All right.
You know what the riddle of the Sphinx is?
Uh-huh.
What is it?
Wow. I know the answer.
Yeah. L like Larry, Sphinx. But he's definitely somebody I've dealt with several times and can be trusted. Now, we all know Bruce has retired as Ash, right?
So he says.
So he says. And that's what I mean. Like when Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 3 ended, he basically said, that's it for Ash. But then there was, I did the voice for the video game. And, and that's Evil Dead, the game, which just came out this week. Have you seen this?
I have. I love that it's across all platforms. We can get it for the Switch.
The Switch, which we have for the kids, and Tetris. But Evil Dead, the game. Now, this is unique in that it features characters from across the entire trilogy and the TV show.
Right. Because,
as anybody knows, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, I mean, those rights are all spread across, several companies or whatever. I don't know if Universal still has the rights to Army of Darkness, but you usually don't see every character from everything because that's why they didn't reference too much of Army of Darkness in Ash vs. Evil Dead, but they could kind of get around it only because of the ending of Evil Dead 2.
Right.
But this game has, Scotty from Evil Dead 1, Ash, Henry the Red, Arthur, Kelly and Pablo from the TV show.
The Ghost Beaters, get them back together.
Dana and Ray were on last season on the Bruce on the Loose podcast, and Dana sings the theme to our show. So thank you so much. It'll be great to hear her again. We don't have the game yet, but I'm going to probably pick it up in a week or two. Now, the game is built story-wise, to me, around a flaw. You know what the flaw is?
Yeah, him being in the book, The Man from the Sky.
Right, exactly. The interviews that I read with the creators who wrote it said they based it on Professor Raymond Noby having the book and unleashing this thing, Kandarian demon as we know, and then seeing the prophecy of the hero from the sky in the book. Now, that can't be.
It can now with the advent of the multiverse.
And that's what I'm going to get into. See, if you remember from the original stories, the lost pages of the Book of the Dead held the prophecy of the Promised One. So it wasn't as if it was in the book at the time for him. But of course, I brought this up in the Bruce on the Loose Facebook group. And of course, everybody said, well, it's a new reality. It's a new timeline. It's the multiverse, which is fine. I mean, I'll buy it because I have to buy it. And every franchise is heading towards multiversal explanation. But I think it's bad writing. I think it's cheap writing to just say, oh yeah, new universe. How about giving us a story? And the bigger thing that bothers me is that the Evil Dead story will never get an ending as far as the Ash character because Bruce is retired.
Or so he says.
Or so he says. You know, he feels he's too old to be doing this stuff with all the injuries that he has to take.
Him physically maybe, but we have this new technology where we're putting old faces back in new kind of, ways.
Like deep fake?
Like deep fakes, yeah. And they're not great, but they're using them.
So, like The Mandalorian, when you see Luke Skywalker show up and he goes, and his top lip don't move.
Right, and then you have to go for the fix. So then the next time you see him and it's fixed, then you're distracted by the fix.
Right. It is distracting.
They need to smooth it out, I guess.
It is distracting for sure.
I'm not a fan of, what do they even call it?
What, that stuff?
De-aging.
Yeah, de-aging.
I'm not interested in de-aging. I like when celebrities retire. I like when, there's new kids on the block that we don't know. We don't know their potential, and we don't want to know it at this time. We want Bruce. We want Ash, But at some point, it's time to move on.
You're right.
Somebody else move in.
You're right. And I'd be perfectly content to move on if we had an ending to the story of Ash, not him riding off into the sunset to go continue battling evil in some apocalyptic future. Definitely an awesome setup. And we know the Evil Dead franchise isn't over because Evil Dead Rise is coming soon. That's going to be talked about in the next episode. So they'll continue that. But, we've been following Ash for so long, and Bruce, that he's definitely going to be missed. I mean, to me, there's no Evil Dead without Ash. But I guess that'll prove itself out this year.
Right. And maybe it's Raimi handing the torch off with the Evil Dead franchise.
Which he definitely is.
Yeah, he's very interested in that new director.
Right. We'll talk about that next episode. But that's Evil Dead the game. Go check it out now, man.
Well, I guess speaking of movies and multiverses
yeah.
and all the madness.
Leading right into...
Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness.
Yes, Doctor Strange. I mean, the big movie that just got released.
I loved it. And
there
are going to be a couple spoilers.
Yeah, we're going to do some minor spoilers.
If you haven't seen it yet, you know what to do.
We're definitely not going to ruin the entire movie for you, but we're going to discuss just a few little pieces of it. The movie begins with a great action sequence. You have a Doctor Strange from a different universe and this young girl, America Chavez, being chased by creatures. He gets killed, leading them to the Marvel 616 universe. There, of course, Doctor Strange is at his ex-girlfriend's wedding and he's suffering, and then America Chavez shows up being pursued by a monster. Wong shows up, helps out, and all this leads to America Chavez having the ability to go through the entire multiverse. She can open portals by herself through the multiverse, but only when she's scared.
Yeah, through fear. I think that's interesting. A
Right.
lot of those themes come up in Doctor Strange. A lot of fear.
Did you like this new character?
I was really expecting more from her, more of her to stand out. She seemed like more of a background character at times. This was a Wanda and Steven show, I feel like.
I thought she would be a little more sassier, have a little more spirit.
Or want to control her abilities. Like
Right.
want to be a big player. To have that amount of energy and that amount of power. That's a theme also in Marvel. Maybe they don't really want that. So...
She seemed quite content in just saying, I can only access it when I'm scared.
Yeah,
and never trying to do it. Like, every time he asked her to do it, you can do it. There was a scene where he was like, you can do it. You have the power. And she's like, I can't do it.
You're right. It's an absolutely big story of don't give away your power. You're better off using it. You inherently know how to use it. Don't hand off your power.
Which leads to Scarlet Witch, who wants to take that power. Because for anyone who's seen WandaVision, she just wants her kids, man. She wants what she feels is a normal life. There's a scene early on in the movie where we find out that every time you're sleeping and you dream, it's not just some dream of some crazy events. You're actually seeing another you from the multiverse.
Yeah, a dimensional version of yourself.
So there's a great scene that shows Wanda and her two young sons happy and laughing, and there's like childlike music playing. And then there's, Sam gives a cold cut right in the middle of that, where Wanda wakes up in the 616 universe, and the music cuts immediately, and the camera, pulls back and winding around in a Sam Raimi shot. You know what I'm saying? It's really cold, and it's all white, and Wanda, let's say, is having some issues with this. So basically, she wants America Chavez so she can use her power to go to the multiverse and find a universe where her children are alive. And Doctor Strange says to her, "What happens to the other you?"
Yeah.
Which leads me to remember, I don't know if any of you have read comic books, but this makes me think of Valiant Comics, which was awesome in the early 90s. They had a character named Mother God who did this exact thing, went to a different universe, killed her in that universe, and took her son and raised him. And that was leading to the Unity conflict, which was one of the best comics and stories ever. If you ever read anything, read Valiant Comics, read Unity. But that's basically what the movie is about. Did you feel Sam was able to be himself, or did he get held down by the deal he made with Disney?
Yeah, I think he was leashed. Like that that scene that you're talking about was so Sam. You got a lot of him. You knew it immediately. Like, we knew what we were waiting for, and when we got it, it was so good. But we got Disney, 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 Sam. Disney, Disney, Sam. Disney, 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 Sam.
There was a lot of Disney-like scenes, and then you'd get a Sam Raimi scene that was just amazing, a great shot or whatever, or something you were waiting for, which leads us right into one of the best parts of the movie, and the best part of any Sam Raimi movie, the Bruce Campbell cameo and the classic cameo. How awesome was this?
We were waiting for the classic. It was a beautiful shot.
But yeah, it's Doctor Strange, and they go to a universe where there's been an incursion. Which is when the walls between universes erode because somebody's going back and forth between them, and one or both universes can be destroyed.
Dead world.
Right, a dead world. So they go into this dead world, and there's cars floating, buildings. It's really weird, but there's the classic spinning and floating, for a good 2-3 seconds too.
Yeah, as if it was on display for us. Just spinning, we get the whole thing there, and right in center screen is beautiful.
Right. I mean, anybody who's a Sam Raimi fan was like, yes. The audience we saw it with, they didn't seem to really be into any of that. You know what I'm saying? There was a few when the best cameo of all came, which was they go to Universe 838, I believe it's called, and she shows up with this, she says, rule 1 of the multiverse is don't assume you know everything. Rule 2 is get food. And in most universes, food is free. And she shows a little cup of pizza balls.
Or pizza poppers. I like that better.
Yeah, we like to call them pizza poppers because as she's explaining this to him, you hear, hey, ho, you hear a familiar voice in the background as they're talking. And as they walk by, there's Bruce. Hey, you going to pay for that?
Oh.
Pizza Papa is the character's name. And he runs a little sidewalk pizza deal, but he sells little pizza balls. You going to pay for that?
Are actually harder to make than they look. His are perfectly round and beautiful, and I have not figured it out yet, but we're still working on that.
Well, that's because it's a movie prop, as you told me the other day. That's
ping pong balls covered in glue.
That's not real food usually and stuff like that. So that's why they look so perfect. But we did the pizza poppers. We're doing them right now as we speak.
Right.
So we can have them for you at the end of the show. When this airs, you'll be able to see how they came out. Our latest batch. But check it out. It's a lot of fun. The character has taken off. So he says, you're going to pay for that? And she says, oh my God, I guess they're not free. And then Doctor Strange is like, okay, Pizza Papa, relax. She's a kid. And then Pizza Papa and him go at it a little bit. And he grabs the cape and he says, this is authentic. You took it from the Doctor Strange Museum. So there's your exposition leading to the next scene, Go ahead.
You're a taker.
You're a taker. How about you take some mustard, huh? And he goes to squirt him in the old Bruce style. And, of course, Doctor Strange does his magic. He ends up squirting himself with mustard. And then he puts a curse on him to punch the shit out of himself. which is awesome, which reminds us of what?
Oh, I get the windmill scene in my mind. So when he put his face on that grate, on that grill, oh, I lost it. That was my favorite part.
I love it. And then Doctor Strange and America walk off, and she's like, is it going to wear off in a few minutes? And he's like, yeah, 3 weeks. And then Bruce in the background beating hell out of himself once again for Sam, you know? So that was awesome. The rumor was he was going to be a multiverse Nick Fury, which would have been the dream come true for me, as I'm a Nick Fury freak. The original Nick Fury from the comic books, you know, Sergeant Fury, Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. I love Samuel L. Jackson too, but, you know.
If we can't get him as a Nick Fury, I want him as American Doctor Who.
Yes.
Just a thought, just throwing it out.
There was a meme a couple of years ago about that, showing him in a cool blue suit. He looked awesome.
It would have been perfect.
I would love Bruce Campbell as Doctor Who.
And he can be as old as he wants to be. He's an ancient man. He's an ancient Time Lord.
Right.
Think about it, Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce, give it a shot. Now, the last thing I'm going to say is the Bruce on the Loose podcast ended a couple of years back. We decided to bring it back because Bruce has a lot going on again. I mean, he was hosting that Ripley's Believe It or Not as well, you know, which is really entertaining. You can catch him there. But, you know, he kind of, you know, is content to do his convention appearances and things like that.
Well, when you live in such a beautiful place as he does, I wouldn't want to leave either. I'll come out for appearances, but I want to be out there hiking.
So I decided, you know, Bruce has a lot going on. I'd like to do a little season 2. And I went back on Twitter lately because, you know, let's get back on Twitter and check it out. So I tweeted, hey, you know, I confirmed that he was in Doctor Strange 2, and Bruce himself retweeted it.
What a treat.
What a treat for a tweet, you know? And that makes us super happy because he actually granted us an interview for last season, and it didn't go as planned, but he was gracious enough to do it for us, and thank you for that. So next episode, we're definitely going to talk about a couple other things coming down the pike, but mostly about Evil Dead Rise, which is directed by Lee Cronin, handpicked by Sam.
Oh, I love that. That's what I mean. Carry the torch.
You have to be amazing visually and with pacing and everything else. I mean, because for Sam to call you out, you have to have an amazing eye because you know what Sam does visually. So thanks all for listening, man. Leave us some comments. I mean, if we suck, let us know. You can click to subscribe if you like. We're not monetized. We're not none of that. We just want to let you know what's going on with Bruce and give you our opinions. If you love us, tell us. If you hate us, tell us. Hey, we're here. We're going to do it regardless, okay? So thanks for listening.
Thank you. See you guys.
Adios.